Assalamu alaikum viewers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Horim Shehzad. In the last video, we discussed about the types of topics you have to talk about in the part 2 of the IELTS speaking test. I presented you with the different examples and how you can score a how you can nail the part 2 of IELTS speaking test, which is also called the talk, in which you have to talk about a topic given to you by the examiner for 1 to 2 minutes. So in this video, we will discuss about the part 3 or last part of the IELTS speaking test. Moving forward, this is once again the overview of the IELTS speaking test. It lasts for 11 to 14 minutes and further divided into three parts. The part one is all about introductions, and then a question on familiar topics. And it lasts for 4 to 5 minutes. And part two is the individual long run. It is also called the talk, in which you have to present a speech on a topic given to you by the examiner for 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, is a part way is more like a two-way discussion. Questions will be related to the topic you discussed in the part two. So, for example, you discussed about books or the importance of reading books in part two. Most of the questions will be related to this topic. There will be a broader range of questions, but most of them will be related to the topic you discussed in the part two. The part three lasts for 3 to 4 minutes. The purpose of part three is to check whether or not you can express your opinion, express and justify your opinion in a complex social environment. The examiner determines whether or not you have sufficient English proficiency to understand what others are saying and to make others understand what you are saying. Okay. So the purpose of the part three, for the purpose of questions in part three, is to analyze your ability to express and justify your opinion using higher level of English language. Okay, understand? So moving forward, this is the composition of part three. The part three of IELTS speaking test consists of discussion with the examiner. We have already discussed this point that the examiner asks you the questions and you have to answer those questions. So it is like a two-way discussion between you and the examiner. The examiner will ask a broader range of questions related to the topic you had in part two. What does the broader range of questions mean? It means that some of the questions are directly related to the topic, and some of the questions are indirectly related to the topic. For example, the topic you had in the part two was what types of books do children read in your country? So this is the topic. What type of books do children read in your country? So the direct question related to this topic could be, do you really think children can learn a lot from the books? Okay, this is the direct question related to the part two topic in the part two, and the indirect question could be, do you really think the libraries are still useful in the 21st century? So it is the indirect question related to the purpose of reading books, or what types of books do people read in your country. But the first question, that is the can children learn a lot from the books, is directly related to the topic. Okay, there may be two types of questions, those that are directly related to the part two, and those that are indirectly related to the part two, or the topic in the part two. Okay, your answer should further expand the topic using example for the real world in general. Okay, what does it mean that you should not answer your answer should not consist of one or two sentence. You should try to explain as much as possible using the examples from the real world. Okay, for example, you can say that the reading general knowledge books really expand the exposure of the children and help you excel in schools and other competitions. Okay, try to explain as much as possible, as much as you can, using the examples from the real world. The purpose of this question is to expand the topic you discussed in the part two, and to determine whether or not you have enough English language skills to explain or further explain and expand the topic. Okay. The examiner will strictly control the time. What does it mean? That test will not last longer than 4 minutes. All the questions and answers will be completed in 3 to 4 minutes. Okay. So let us discuss example here. For example, if your topic was about the importance of balanced diet for good health, The questions in part 3 could be about typical diet in your country, eating trends, eating out, difference between home cooked and restaurant food, your opinion about balanced diet. Okay, you can see some of these questions are directly related to the importance of balanced diet for good health, and some of them for are indirectly related to the topic. For example, eating out. Questions about eating out, for example, do you like eating out? It is indirectly related to the balanced diet, because sometimes eating out in the restaurants, the food for sorry food in the restaurants or eating outlet is not as healthy as the home cooked food, so it is indirectly related to the topic. But typical diet in your country is the directly related to that topic in the part 2. So part 3 is the most unpredictable part of the speaking test, therefore many students do not do as well as they should. What does it mean? It means that the questions are related to the topic in the part 2, but questions can be very unpredictable. The examiner can ask anything about the topic, and which sometimes it catches students off guard, and therefore not many students do well in this topic as well, in this part as well. So however, the types of most of the question asked by the examiner in part 3 can be divided into 7 categories, okay, or 7 question types. It makes it easier for students to prepare for them, such as practicing grammar structures and phrases used to answer them. Having a fair understanding of these question types will help you students to prepare for them, such as practicing grammatical structure and phrases used to answer them. For example, if a question is about future, you can say that you can start your answer with phrases like "I'm planning to," "I would like to," "I would love to." Okay, so once again, keep in mind that this the purpose of this video is just to provide you with an overview of the IELTS speaking test part 3. I will make another video in which I will discuss all the tips, strategies, and techniques you need to nail this part of the test, and all the phrases and grammatical structure you must master so, to do well in this parts. Okay, this video is just an introduction to the part 3. There will be a separate video where I discuss all these things in detail with all the examples and tips and techniques and strategies. Okay, so the 7 types of questions usually asked in part 3 of the IELTS speaking test are the opinion. For example, the examiner can ask about your opinion about the topic. Okay, the question could be like, what do you think about this topic? Okay, then the cause and effect. In this type of question, the examiner asks about the reason that caused a certain thing, and what are the effect on that on another certain thing. Okay, the cause and effect. The future. Okay, the questions about future life can be, what do you think will happen in the future? Okay, past, how were things different in the past and how they have changed? They can ask questions like, how do you think the eating habits have changed over a past few decades, or do you think the reading habits have changed over the past few decades? So this question is these kind of questions are related to the past. Okay, evaluation. What do you think about someone else's future? Okay, in this type of question, the examiner will ask to evaluate a situation and what could happen in the future. Hypothetical questions are about imaginary or unreal situations. For example, the examiner can ask, in what country would you like to move to in the future? Okay, this scenario is an imaginary scenario, it hasn't come to pass yet, and so these questions are hypothetical question. Compare and contrast. In this kind of question, the examiner can ask you to discuss the similarities and differences between the two things. Okay, so these are the 7 types of questions most probably asked, most commonly asked in the part 3 of our speaking test. These are opinion. This kind of questions you have to present your opinion. Cause and effect. In this type of question, the examiner asks you to list the reasons or causes of something and its effect on another thing. In future, the future, in this type of question, the examiner asks you what could happen in the future about a certain thing. Past, these types of questions are something that came to past in the past. Evaluation. In this type of question, the examiner asks to evaluate a certain situation. Hypothetical, in this type of question, the examiner asks you to discuss an imaginary or unreal situation and compare and contrast. In this type of question, the examiner asks you to uh, discuss similarities and differences between two things. Okay, so these are sample questions for every question type. For example, opinion. What do you think about this? How does someone become a celebrity? Okay, this is a how does someone become a celebrity? In this the type of questions, you have to give your opinion. You can list reasons, or you can your answer could consist anything. You can say that one can become a celebrity by appearing in movies, or by launching a YouTube channel. There are many reasons, there are many ways to become a celebrity these days. So this is how you this is how a opinion question look like. Okay, cause and fact. How does education help you become a better member of the society? Okay, this is the cause and effect question. In this question, you have to list the reasons and its causes. How does education help you become a better member of the society? Okay, future. Some people say most of us will be working from home in the future. Do you agree? So, uh, it is quite possible that most of us, or most of the people, will work from home in the near future. So, do you agree? You can say that yes, I agree, because more and more companies are preferring workers who like to work from home or who can work from home. So yes, I strongly agree that most of the people will be working from home in the future. So this is the question related to the future. Question related to the past can be like, how has teaching changed in your country over the last few decades? So okay, so these kind of questions are related to the past. uh, and evaluate. Some people say children are more knowledgeable than they were in the past. Do you agree or disagree? So you have to agree or disagree to a question, or evaluate the situation. If you think that children are more knowledgeable in the modern era compared to the past, you can say that I strongly agree, and give your examples. And if you disagree, also give your examples from the real world and evaluate the situation. Hypothetical, once again, hypothetical are those questions or situations which are imaginary or unreal. So, for example, the examiner can ask you, which country would you like to move to in the future? You haven't moved to any country. You would the examiner has asked a hypothetical question, that if you have to move to another country in the future, what country would that be? So you say that I would like to move to France in the future, and then once again give your reasons and examples to support your answer. Finally, compare and contrast. The question could be like, should children learn a second language in primary or secondary school? So in this kind type of question, you can give your reasons, about whether or not a student should learn secondary language in primary school or in secondary school, and once again give your reasons and examples to support your answer. Okay, so their sample questions are most common topics. So I'm going to discuss the common questions from the two most common topics. Sample questions for the two most common topics. The first one is clothes. The questions related to clothes could be like, can clothing tell you much about a person? What are advantages and disadvantages of having a uniforms at work? So these are the compare and contrast question. This one, the first one, can clothing tell you much about a person? It is an opinion question. Why do people wear traditional clothing in your country? It is also a opinion question. Do young and old people like to wear different types of clothes? It is compare and contrast question. How has cloth fashion changed in the country over the last few decades? This is the past question. Okay. This question fall into the past category. So there is another question. Business is another very common topic discussed in the part two, and the questions related to the business in part three could be like, what are popular small business in your country? Why do some people like to run their own businesses? Do you think family businesses are problematic? What does it take a business to be successful? All these are opinion questions, Has globalization affected small business in your country? This is cause and effect question. So if you have a fair idea of 7 types of questions, you can easily prepare for them and perform really well in the part 3 of the IELTS speaking test. So these are the sample questions from one of the IELTS books, one of the IELTS preparation books, that is Cambridge IELTS. So the discussion topic is keeping fit and healthy. So the example questions can be, what do most people do to keep fit in your country? So it is an opinion question. How important is it for people to do some regular physical exercise? And it is also an opinion question. Health and modern lifestyle, that is another topic. The example questions could be like, why do some people think that modern lifestyles are not healthy? Why do some people choose to lead unhealthy life? Should individuals or governments be responsible for making people's lifestyle healthy? What could be done to encourage people to live in a healthy way? So these are some more topics, discussion topics. Children games. You know that the video games are very popular these days. Do you have How have games changed from time when you were a child? This is a past question. Do you think this has been a positive change? Why do you think children like playing games? This is cause and effect question. And games and competition. Do you think competitive games are good for or bad for children? This is a compare and contrast question. How can games sometimes help to unite people? This is the evaluation question. And why is competition often seen as important in today's society? This is also an evaluation question. So these are different types of most common top. These are the most common topics often discussed in part 2, and the questions related to them in part 3. The Try to understand the 7 types of questions I discussed in the previous slide. Here they are. Here these are, and try to prepare for their grammatical structure, and try to learn as many phrases as possible related to them in order to perform well in part 3. So with this we conclude our video, and but before closing the video, I once again, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon for me to keep producing good informative IELTS videos for you. In the next video we'll discuss about different types of question. I will start making individual videos for every type of question in IELTS academic exam. So till then, bye bye.